Alright, so here we have my truck. It's 2005 LLY. I've talked about it on the channel before. It is a ZF6 truck, if anybody cares about that. I just got done putting head gaskets in this truck along with HSPY bridge, hot pipe, blah blah blah, and BRP downpipe. And I just want to talk about it a little bit, give a couple of thoughts, a couple of recommendations. So this truck's got nearly 400,000 miles. I've got EFI live tune in it, DSP5 switch. I have a fifth wheel camper. I pull it up hills on the hot tune. So yes, I was expecting the head gaskets to blow at some point. The truck never got hot on me. It just pushed a shitload of coolant out of the passenger side head, which is most likely going to be your first symptom of head gaskets. So that's what my truck was doing. That's why I took it apart. That's why we're here now. So if you're going to take one of these trucks apart and you intend to keep it, spend all the money all at once. I put an HSPY bridge in it. It's $900 for the kit. Buy it. If you're going to keep the truck, get it now. Get rid of the EGR. You won't have problems with it. As far as the HSP kit goes, there's some things that they don't tell you. It's like, I did not go into this expecting that I was going to it's nearly impossible to see now, but the low pressure fuel lines, like the line that comes off of this, that's what comes from your fuel filter head and goes to the CP3. You have to bend that. You have to reroute it because the original routing goes around the back side of that pipe, and with the 3-inch Y bridge, it doesn't fit. So you have to reroute that. I bent mine all just by hand. I didn't use any tools really at all. It worked out fine. You gotta bend a couple of coolant lines, just a couple of miscellaneous things you gotta bend, and just take your time, make it fit, and you will be happy with it. The other thing, as far as this HSP kit goes, down there, you can see that is an OEM intercooler boot down there. There it is. Intercooler outlet. You have to use the factory boot. It is like a 45-degree boot. I made a mistake. Had to buy another one. They're like $55, so try not to do that. The hot pipe, pretty self-explanatory. You have to bend that. Bend that power steering line a little bit. Not a big deal. Let's see. Things you need. If you're going to do this, you do not need a big fancy shop. You don't need a whole hell of a lot of skills. This is a nuts and bolts job. As you can see, my truck does not fully fit in my garage. I do not have a nice garage, don't have a nice shop, anything like that. I have just basically a pretty complete set of sockets. The only thing that I suggest you absolutely have is 12-point impact sockets, deep and shallow, 1/2 inch and 3/8. Also, along with your 6-point sockets, because you should just use 6-point sockets for most things. There are a handful of 12-point bolts on these engines, on the head bolts. The nuts for the head studs are all 12 points. Exhaust manifold bolts, up pipe bolts, I guess I should say, are all 12 points. Let's see, the other thing you should have is a torque wrench. I bought a 1/2-inch drive digital torque wrench. Reason being, it goes down to 12.5 foot-pounds. I think one of the lowest specs on this job is like 20. So if you have one that goes down to 20 and up to 125, I believe is the ARP spec for the 400 studs. Or 425s, I'm sorry. ARP 2000s, whatever, that's what I used. You will be covered. There was really no place I couldn't get this 1/2-inch torque wrench into. So, be patient, have a couple adapters, and you'll be able to get it in there wherever you need to. One thing I highly recommend having is one of these 3/8 impacts with the impact swivel. This thing saved so much time, so much aggravation. I would not do this job again without it. It just saves so much time. You do need some Allen sockets and things like that. The long ball end ones work for a lot of things. And some of the valve cover bolts and stuff like that, if there's gunk in them, don't be afraid to hit that fucking Allen wrench or Allen socket with a hammer. Tap it in there, put your impact on it with your swivel, it'll come right out. You do also need the short ones because you're just not going to get to everything with the long ones. This long extension is a lifesaver in a lot of situations. Have some pliers and a magnet. You have to have a magnet. Don't do this without having a magnet because you're going to drop shit in places you don't want to drop it. Pull the wheel liners out. Mine are back in. Like I said, I'm done with this job now. Pull the wheel liners out, set them aside. Valve cover bolts and shit like that. You're gonna be struggling from the top. Get down, sit on your stool on the side of the truck, and wow, try not to do that too much. Sit down on the side of the truck, and it is going to be a totally different ball game. I mean, certain things you just wouldn't expect. They're just gonna be so much easier. If you're gonna do this job, take it apart. Do not plan to do this in a weekend, especially if you don't have a whole lot of mechanical experience. Don't try to do this on a weekend. You're gonna fail. You're gonna be frustrated. If you don't have something else to drive, I don't know what to tell you. This took me, I've got 2 kids and I work far away from home. So this took me 2 weekends of being by myself and 2 weekends of having the kids, working in between, when they go to bed and whatnot. So, and working on it after work. So do with that information what you may. I'm not the fastest worker, but I am, I'm proficient in what I do. And that being said, I am also very thorough. I take my time and make sure everything is clean. I've got tons of time into cleaning and that kind of thing. If you're going to do this, have plenty of degreaser. Luckily, I can get this shit from work. It works pretty well. Purple Power is also extremely good. Purple Power and a wire brush and a hose will clean almost everything you need it to. when you do this, have one of these. This is on Amazon. I'll probably post a link to the description. I got 4 grits of sandpaper, 80, 320, because I meant to get 180 and I didn't, like a dumbass. So I got 80, 320, 400, and 600. Get 180 because you should have it. Anti-seize. Get lots of anti-seize. As far as pulling the heads off, take the valves out, just because you should do it. Wire wheel the valves. Now, this is one tip I am pretty proud of. I took weed whacker string. I have these pre-cut pieces. They come in the little plastic container, right? So, folded in half. What are they? Probably 7 inches long. I cut them in half at the little loop. I put about 10 pieces of it in my 1/2-inch cordless drill, right? Got the head sitting on the bench. Spray your degreaser in the port. Take that cordless drill. Turn it all the way up. Put the weed whacker string in the intake port. Run it up and down there, all kinds of different angles and shit like that. Those ports will get every bit as clean as you need them to. On an LLY or any AGR truck for that matter, the intake ports are going to be the dirty ones. Just because, well, it's got an AGR. So, if you're wondering what all you need to take off, fan shroud, fan, all the accessories on the top, the whole intake, all the electronics, the whole wiring harness, one set, one, you know, the wiring harness is basically going to be laying in where the air filter box is over there. It's all got to come off. Turbo stays. Up pipes get unbolted. Passenger side up pipe in my case, since I put a Y bridge in it, gets replaced with an LB7 up pipe. If you got the money, get an intake, because on 2 and 4, this truck sucks the filter minder down even with a new filter. So it's filter, that intake is inadequate. Gonna get a new one here pretty soon. They're like a 10-week lead time, so I don't know. I don't feel like fucking ordering one and waiting 10 weeks. Have some zip ties because you're gonna have to cut stuff. If you're putting a Y bridge in it, these come so on the factory. When you've got the EGR here, that cast aluminum piece that's ugly as shit, you've got this big wire harness has got like a plastic loom that goes over it. Cut that off. Get you some 1.25-inch wire loom. All right, that's what that is. And then anytime you're doing wire loom type stuff, get you some of this tape. Wire loom harness, yeah. It's like felt tape, basically. Get some. It's on Amazon. It's cheap. Do it. It looks better. It's way better than electrical tape. Have coolant on hand. Be prepared for issues. You're gonna have to take all your injectors out, and you're gonna have to clean all your injector lines. So make sure you tighten the frig out of them. They're 17 millimeter. Should probably get a line wrench. I didn't have one. I just used a box wrench or an open end wrench on them. On startup, started number 4 injector line sprung a leak. Truck would not start, would not build rail pressure. I end up getting it running and revved the piss out of it and found the leak. Projector line was loose. Tighten the frig out of them, check them 3 times before you put anything else on top of them. Other than that, just take your time. Take your time, take your time. Don't get in a hurry. Don't cut corners. Do it right once, and these trucks will take care of you. Hope you got some information out of this. If not, I don't know what to tell you. Hope you stay tuned for more videos, and thank you for watching, and have a nice night. One more thing I wanted to add. Have yourself some good lighting. These lights, this light right here, is $27 at Harbor Freight. It's the 5500 lumen light, and look how well it lights that engine bay up. You turn it off. Of course, the camera's gonna make it look like it's freaking daylight outside. Let me turn the garage lights off quick. And it still looks like daylight because it's a camera. Anyway. See the engine like that? Believe me, it is a night and day difference. I work in industrial maintenance, so I have good flashlights. I took my good flashlight out 4 or 5 times in this whole job. I've got this $27 light. Comes with the chains. Hook it to these loops in the holes in the hood. And also from Harbor Freight, I got this guy. It's got a magnet. It's got 2 hooks. Not the best lights in the world. They certainly do the job. And this plugs right into the end of this light there. So that's all I wanted to add. Again, if you take this job on, take your time, do it right, do it once. I hope you got some information out of this. Be safe and have a nice night.